I'm Holly Harper. I own a 2010 Ford Escape.
My name is Julie Abel. I own a Ford Fusion plug-in.
My name's Jackie Guion. I live in rural Oregon. We have two 1-ton diesel pickups and a 2012 Ford Focus.
We chose to buy a Ford because it had all of the elements we were looking for in a car. We wanted a four-door sedan because there's 5 of us in our family.
Well, the Ford Focus I use to get around town, less gas, go get groceries, things like that. The Ford pickups are used for hauling campers, hauling horses, hauling whatever, hauling big loads.
We got the V6 because we had a boat to tow and we needed the towing capacity. And so it's got a really big engine for what we do with it now, city driving. And so it's not great for fuel. It's really overpowered for the city.
We get 80 miles a gallon, which is fantastic. And sometimes when we have to go on longer drives, probably less than 2 hours, we'll actually pick to take that car, knowing that it'll only go 26 miles on the charge, but that it gets better gas mileage than the other car that we own.
Why the environment is important to me. I think the environment is important in every possible reason that you could think of, from sustainability to clean water to natural beauty to human health to animal health to climate change to business success. The environment should be everyone's top priority.
The environment is very important to me. I do everything I possibly can to make it better. I work very hard at it.
Our car, we think, has less of an impact on the environment because we're not filling it up with gas as often. In fact, sometimes we could go 3 or 4 months and not have to use any gas at all or fill up the gas tank. I think the Ford Motor Company does care about our environment because they're making a big push towards switching a lot of their cars over to be plug-ins and to be hybrids.
I do think that the Ford Motor Company cares about the environment in that they need to make more fuel efficient cars to meet the consumer demand for green products. But I also see companies across the board, Ford included, making decisions based on opportunistic policies and advantages they can take to, bolster the bottom line. So I don't think that they are especially committed to the environment for the sake of the environment. Yes, I have heard of the cleaner car standards, I think, and they were just recently rolled back, right? And we're talking about companies that are developing heated and cooled seats and crazy technology that integrates with smart apps. So why can't they make the engines of cars more fuel efficient? God, that's so stupid. Unfortunately, the cleaner car standards, like any standards, the corporate interests and the people trying to make money in the short term are always going to trade off whatever they can to do that. And so that's why we need a strong federal government, a strong EPA. We need people paying attention and voting. If there's a possibility that we can make electric cars or hybrid electric cars, why aren't we just making those?
It also translates to a bottom line dollar value for customers to say, hey, you can save $6,000 at the pump over the life of your car. That's incredibly powerful and important.
I mean, we're using up fossil fuels. We're using up everything we're given on this earth to drive a car. So it's very important to me. Would I love to see my pickup get 35, 45 miles to the gallon? I don't see that happening in my future, but hopefully it happens for future generations to come.
I think environmental standards are effective. Like any policy is effective, it has to be maintained and managed by the federal government. There has to be muscle behind it. And I don't think that currently anyone's doing that work. So that's terrifying.
I think Ford puts out a good product. I hope they, again, can make it better for future generations. And again, do the right thing.
There's no reason that we need to be using technology from last century moving forward just because Ford needs to boost its profit share in next quarter. So it's infuriating that Ford, that any automaker would be trying to roll back any sort of standard that's going to improve the planet for my daughter when she becomes a driver. They should be doubling down on their investment and telling the Scott Pruitt corrupt piece of to go drive off a cliff.
They've stated, hey, we're going to make 40 cars over the course of the next few years that will meet the car standards. And it's also a little confusing. Why is Ford choosing to say one thing to the public and say another thing in private?
Take a step forward. Do the right thing for everyone. Money, when you have money, do you need more money? No. They need to start doing the right thing for everyone.
The fact that the Ford Motor Company, among other automakers, has met with the Trump administration to lobby to roll back these card standards has really, actually, yes, changed my opinion of Ford. The companies are accountable to what they're advocating for and not just telling me one thing and telling the government something else.